So for the adjustment in the Forex, you need to follow these 4 steps. Okay, actually the steps is to calculate the exchange difference, but you cannot directly calculate the exchange difference directly. So you need to follow several steps. So the first step is to do the translated financial position at the end of the year. So for example, if the accounting period is ended on 31st December 2019, so we need to do the translation as at that date. Number 2, translated financial position at beginning of the year. So for example, 1st January 2019, if the year ended is 31st December. And then number 3, translated P&L for the year, that is for current year. And then after we do the translation, then we can calculate the exchange difference. Because if you look at the formula for the calculation of exchange difference, the first one is we need to have post-acquisition profit at the end of the year. Okay, this is actually the balancing figure. This is the balancing figure that you get from your step number 1. Okay, working number 1. This one, step number 1. And then you will deduct with your post-acquisition profit at beginning of the year. This is from your step or your working number 2, this one. And then you will minus post-acquisition profit during the year. Okay, this is from your step number 3. This is the translated P&L for the year. Then after you insert all these figures, you can get your exchange difference. That's why you need to follow these steps to calculate the exchange difference. Okay, now we have to look at the textbook as an example, because the calculation of exchange difference, if you look here, we need to do the translation. And again, we have 2 methods of translation. So now, as an example, we will use the second method, that is from functional to presentation currency. Okay, this is the situation whereby it shows that the subsidiary are very independent, meaning that the subsidiary does not depending to the holding company. So when the situation is independent, therefore the method that we will use will be from functional to presentation currency. So as an example, we will look at example 5 from the textbook. Okay, you can refer to example 5 from your textbook. And the question are actually from your example 4, right? Example 4, 18.7. Okay, 18.7, example 4. But example 4 is translated from foreign to functional. This is where the subsidiary are dependent. Okay, dependent. But we are looking at example 5, whereby the subsidiary are independent. But the question are the same, alright? The question are the same, but the answer will be different according to the method that we will use. Okay, if you look at the example, you can see the answers, right? Under example 5. Under example 5, you can see that they put it as a net investment method, translating from functional to presentation currency. Okay, so these answers are referring to the functional to presentation currency because it assumes that the subsidiary are independent. So now the question required to prepare the consolidated financial statement by translating the financial statement of S using the net investment method. Net investment method is actually functional to presentation currency. Okay, we need to follow the 4 steps like here. Okay, and the first one, we will translate financial position at the end of the year. So financial position at the end of the year, like your solution here, translate the financial statement of the financial position. If you look here, you have 3 columns, Z00, rate, and RM. Okay, actually you are copying back from your question. The one that you need to fill in is your rate. Okay, your rate are being determined by the method. Okay, now since we are referring to the net investment method, so for net investment method, all items, okay, all items are using closing rate. Okay, all items are using closing rate except for your ordinary share and pre-reserve. Okay, except for ordinary shares and pre-reserve. So that's why if you look at your solution, all the rate, property, inventory, everything, they use the rate of 2. Okay, rate of 2 is rate at the end of the year because you translate at the end of the year on the 31st December, year 7. That's why rate is 2. And your ordinary shares and retained profit pre, right? On the acquisition date. So the company was being acquired on the 1st January. The company was being acquired on the 1st January year 7. That's why the rate for ordinary shares and pre-profit is 3. That is at the date of acquisition. And the balancing figure, okay, if you look at your textbook, 700, that shows the post-acquisition profit at the end of the year, right? That shows the post-acquisition profit at the end of the year that you will insert in calculation of your exchange difference. Okay, for step number 2, translated financial position at beginning of the year. So we need to translate at the beginning of the accounting period, that is on the 1st January year 7. But if you look at this question, no need to prepare the step number 2 because for step number 2 we don't have any post acquisition profit at beginning of the year, because if we look on the 1st January is the date of acquisition, therefore all profit will be pre-profit. So since there is no post profit, therefore we do not need to calculate the step number 2. Okay, because if you look at the formula, we want to determine the post profit at beginning of the year. Since there is no post, so no need to calculate. Okay, now we proceed with step number 3, that is the translated P&L for the year. So for translated P&L for the year, under translated from functional to presentation currency, all items we will use average. Okay, we will use average. So the average rate is 2.5. So you don't put like in your textbook. If you look at your textbook, they put it average, right? But don't put average everything. You just insert with figures. That is 2.5. Okay, and after that you get the item, then you can calculate the exchange difference like the formula that I give you. Okay, so in this case you can take the amount, the 700, okay, and minus with 160, so you will get 540, your exchange difference. Right? So that will be for the second method, that is from functional to presentation currency. So for the first method, I think you can refer to your textbook and you can read it. And if you have any question, you can ask me later, right? So that's all for the Forex, the chapter 18.